The political crisis in Rivers State has brought to a standstill legislative business in the House of Assembly, where the suspended leader of the State Assembly, Edison Ehie, who is also an ally of Governor Siminalari Fubara, has announced his emergence as a new speaker. Mr. Ehie says his faction of lawmakers elected him to the new position following the crisis at the House of Assembly. This comes hours after Mr. Ehie was removed as leader of the House and suspended by another group of lawmakers at the Assembly complex. Now, meanwhile, earlier on Monday, the police fired gunshots and tear gas to disperse a large crowd protesting the plans by the Rivers State House of Assembly to impeach the governor, Siminalari Fubara. The clash between the police, the governor, and his supporters broke out moments after lawmakers signed the process for impeachment at the resumed plenary inside the House of Assembly complex in Port Harcourt. Senior correspondent Uche Okoro has details.
Despite the fire incident that damaged the chamber of the State Assembly, the lawmakers insisted on continuing with the business of the day. After inspecting the level of damage, the 24 lawmakers decided to convene in the auditorium.
Edison Ehie.
The Speaker, Martins Amehule, spared no words in accusing the leader of the House, Edison Ehie, and the incumbent administration of masterminding the attack.
Motion to remove.
The House immediately proceeded to remove and suspend the leader and 4 other lawmakers.
Second the motion.
But the most significant step taken by the lawmakers was the signing of an impeachment notice against the governor by 24 out of the 32-member assembly.
Edison Ehie and all those who sponsored him, who do not want this arm of government to do their job in line with the Constitution, should be held accountable for what they have done. But we remain undaunted. We will do what we need to do because we have been empowered by the Constitution. We have been empowered by the Constitution, and we will not relent. We will not shy away from our constitutional duties.
Shortly after the sitting, the police resorted to force in dispersing the governor and a large crowd surging towards the assembly complex in defiance against the move by the lawmakers. Upon arrival at the House of Assembly complex, Governor Fubara condemned the impeachment move as an illegality.
What is important is any attempt that is not justified will be resisted. Let them come out. Let them come out and tell Rivers people, that offense.
All adjoining roads leading to the Rivers State House of Assembly complex remain cordoned off by heavily armed police officers to prevent further breakdown of law and order. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
Well, joining us from Port Harcourt is lawyer Eugene Ode. Eugene, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. How do you do? Good morning.
How do you do too? Very well, thank you. Let me quickly begin with you before we go to our correspondent, Uche Okoro, who is also standing by to bring us up to speed with updates. Now, the governor has been asking the question what he did to deserve this impeachment. And I am asking and wondering, is this impeachment justified?
Well, whether this impeachment is justified or not is a matter for judicial interpretation. And the questions that the governor has been asking yesterday up till this morning, those questions are very valid and very viable and actionable if he decides to challenge the process and procedure in a court of competent jurisdiction. Because the question is, of course, the way the Constitution is couched. One of the reasons, in fact, the main reason or the only reason that was given was allegation of gross misconduct. And you and I know that by the wordings of the Constitution, particularly Section 188, the definition of gross misconduct was left open and very fluid, unless the courts will actually determine and define the particulars which the members of the House of Assembly may also want to furnish. Because if you just leave it open-ended as gross misconduct without giving particulars, it becomes subject to multiple interpretation. And the man is saying that I have not committed misconduct when you have not given particulars of the offense. In fact, the definition of the Constitution is any act that could be seen to amount to a breach of provisions of the Constitution. And such conducts are not things that are left open-ended. You must actually specify which particular provision of the Constitution the governor breached and how he breached it for it to amount to gross misconduct. Other than that, the Supreme Court has defined what misconduct is, and it's not outside what the Constitution has also defined.
Right. We are looking at the legality of what has been transpiring so far in Rivers State. So I still want to ask, vis-a-vis the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, the impeachment notice, or before then, the House has been factionalized. There are now two speakers. The one that was removed yesterday, saying that he has now declared himself speaker, will speak to that. But then the notice of impeachment, do you think is in compliance with the provision of the section 143 of the 1999 Constitution as amended?
Now, like I said, section 181 is what gives you a clear picture of the process and procedure for removal of a governor by impeachment. Now, it begins with service of the notice, and it specifies that it must not be less than one-third of the members of the House of Assembly present and voting at that particular point in time, signing the notice of impeachment. And then the content of the notice of impeachment is also very vital. Those are the parameters that will be used to determine whether this process is valid or not. Of course, you know that some governors have been impeached like that, but because the procedures were not followed to the letter, the court had to invalidate the process and then reinstate those who were impeached. A particular example is Chris Ngige of Anambra State, and of course Peter Obi of the same state, and several others like that who have been able to challenge and successfully challenge the impeachment process. Now, if you look at the way the Constitution drafted it, it's a very cumbersome process. And any system that does not follow through the entire procedure as prescribed by the law and commits any breach, of course, the strict liability procedure, you must comply with it to the very letter. If you leave any stone unturned, of course, it will put some holes in the process, and which can give vent to whoever is being impeached to go to court and challenge the process. In fact, of course, currently something similar is happening in Ondo State, where Honorable Lucky Tiwa is also being said to be impeached. He's already challenging his, and right now, as of today, I think they're at the Court of Appeal, because there was a restraining order restraining the Ondo State House of Assembly, and indeed the CJ from constituting the panel to commence to actually give validity to the impeachment process. And that process is being challenged because there are a lot of breaches in terms of procedure. We are not saying the House of Assembly does not have the power to impeach a sitting governor. Of course they do. That's their constitutional power and their constitutional role, where they find that there's gross breach of provisions of the Constitution. But it must follow every single jot and tittle and life of the Constitution as
we need to quickly
handed
go on
to
a
us.
break. If you can hear me, we need to quickly go on a break. When we return from the break, we'll continue this conversation with you. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We've been looking at the crisis rocking Rivers State. Recall that some persons were said to have set ablaze the State House of Assembly, and that has, created some crisis in the state politically. We see that members of the State Assembly are divided, and then we're also seeing the state governor asking questions as to why he is being served a notice of impeachment. What has he done? He's been asking questions. And before we went on the break, we're speaking with a lawyer in Port Harcourt, Eugene Ode, who has been talking to us about the legality of this matter and how cumbersome it is, the process is with regards to impeachment. Mr. Ode, You mentioned earlier that the process of impeachment is a cumbersome one. You also talked about what is happening in Ondo State with regards to the deputy governor. And you said that for any of the state assembly to go through this, they have to leave no stone unturned. But the question that the governor has been asking, what has he done, has not been answered, seemingly. And then the conduct of this whole process is not sitting well with a majority of persons. And the governor has even gone ahead to say that any process that is illegal will be challenged. Any impeachment attempt not justified, that's the word he used, will be resisted. What do you think the governor is saying there? What is the interpretation you're getting from what the governor is saying?
Well, he's only expressing his right. He has a right to challenge if he wants to, if he feels that he's been unjustly targeted for impeachment. He has a right. Like I told you, what's happening in those states. Like I've also told you that the impeachment process is not a one-off, it's not a run-of-the-mill procedure where you just wake up one morning and then throw out a governor. You have to follow through with the process. The process has to start with service of impeachment notice. In fact, the process of even serving the notice is also something that must be followed strictly, because service must be personal, unless by order of courts, maybe by substitution. Otherwise, it must be personal. So if you don't even serve the notice personally to the person sought to be impeached, that is also actionable. And then the content of the impeachment notice is also very, very, very vital. If the content of the impeachment notice is incompetent by definition of the Constitution, that is also actionable. And then if the number of people who sat on the day when the impeachment notice was signed, okay, did not meet the prescribed requirement of the Constitution, it has also, at every point in time, every stage of the impeachment process, okay, must follow strict compliance, failing which whoever is targeted to be impeached can take on any part of the process and go to court to stop the process or challenge. Like what is happening, like I told you, on those states, the man is actually saying that the notice of impeachment itself was incompetent and the service was also incompetent. And of course, who knows, by the time that judicial interpretation, I mean the judicial redress runs its time, the election calendar would have run out. Of course, you know, next year will be election in Ondo State, and of course, he will remain in power until judiciary decides one way or the other, and then however it goes, of course, it has to follow the lifespan of judicial proceedings, as it were. And the funny thing is that this is impeachment, it's not an election.
The State of Assembly is now constituted. Now we have a divided State of Assembly, similarly. Do you think that they will be able to go through this process to achieve what they want to achieve?
Well, that is politics for you, but in line with the law, I will only restrict myself to the law. Now that we have two conflicting interests, in fact, as it is today in Rivers State, it appears there are two speakers laying claim to the position of the Speaker of Rivers State. We don't know who is the Speaker as of today. One person actually initiated impeachment proceeding yesterday. The next day, another person is emerging or declaring himself to be the Speaker of Rivers State. All these things are, like I told you, at the end of the day, it will fall into a pot of judicial interpretation. It has to be determined at every point in time who is the Speaker, who is the right person to initiate impeachment process or carry on or complete the process of impeachment at every point in time. Like I said, at the end of the day, legal issues have been thrown up, and it is only the court that will come to the rescue and put the gavel down and determine what is legal and what is illegal. I cannot now sit down here and tell you that what Edison is, the new or the self-acclaimed, whatever. Please pardon me, because I really don't know the facts, the details of the case as it is today. But the man who has declared himself Speaker today, the court may have to come in and determine whether or not that declaration conforms with a constitutional provision. And the man who also initiated the process of impeachment yesterday, probably the court will also determine whether he was in order or not. But at the end of the day, like I said, whenever there's a constitutional crisis like this in any part of the country, the buck stops at the judiciary to give clarity as to the direction to follow.
All right, Mr. Eugene.
I'm sure probably that's the reason why the governor is. I'm sure that's the reason why the governor is actually saying that he's going to challenge it. There's no other way of challenging it other than going to court.
Absolutely. Just hang on a bit. We understand that our correspondent from River State, Uche Okoro, is joining us. Uche, thank you so much for the updates that you've been bringing so far since the news broke. But bring us up to speed with the latest. What more do we know about the crisis lingering in River State as regards the face-off between the State Assembly and the incumbent governor?
Good morning. Well, as at this point in time, everywhere is calm. Reports from the government house state everywhere is calm. As at yesterday, the atmosphere around the State House of Assembly, the axis of the judiciary, as well as the government house, those three points of government were very, very tense throughout yesterday. But this morning, there is some level of calm that has been restored to the environment, to the polity. That is not to say that it is all calm waters. There is still a lot going on, but at this time, the atmosphere looks calm. We know that some interventions are going on. There are some efforts that are ongoing to reconcile both warring parties. As at last night, some last-minute efforts were made yesterday to bring both sides to some form of agreement table or to a round-table discussion to resolve their differences. So that's what I can tell you at this point as per updates. The environment is calm. Access is still denied to the River State House Assembly complex. The environment is still cordoned off. All roads leading to the Assembly complex still cordoned off. Yesterday, activities at the judiciary were affected. The courts were the sittings, court sittings and court sittings were affected yesterday because of the crisis, because the House of Assembly is very close to the judiciary as well. But today we expect the courts to get back to their normal activities today and tomorrow as well. So everywhere appears to be calm, while negotiations and discussions and peace meetings are going on in the background. I'm reliably informed that a number of elders, River State elders and stakeholders had a meeting yesterday at the government house with the governor at the late hours of yesterday. We don't know the resolutions of those meetings because they declined speaking to the press after that meeting that lasted about an hour at the government house. So that's as much as I can tell you by way of updates here from Port Harcourt.
All right, still staying with you, Uche. The governor is reported to have gone ahead to sack his chief of staff, sacked all 23 local government chairmen, dissolved the state executive council, changed the speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly, suspended the chief judge of Rivers State. Could you perhaps speak to that? If you are saying that some reconciliation process is going on, who is he having this reconciliation conversations with? What is it targeted at? We also hear that the former governor, Nyesom Wike, is being pointed at, talking about he's been accused for, what we see going on. What are you hearing with regards to that? And who are we actually resolving of this crisis with?
Well, in terms of the solutions of cabinets and people being sacked and stripped of their appointments and so on. The truth is, I've also heard of all these reports. A lot of people have called me as well as relating to those stories of the certain officials being relieved of their appointments and their duties. But the fact, those are, as at now that I speak to you, from the perspective of a journalist, I would say they remain rumors. Rumors because they haven't been confirmed from the executive. The executive arm of government, led by Governor Siminalari Fubara, has not confirmed any of these. We also gathered that the 23 local government chairmen have been sacked. We gathered that certain persons have been sacked in the kitchen cabinet, within the kitchen cabinet of the administration. But as I speak to you, as of this morning, we do not have any official confirmation. The tradition is when such things happen, either a commissioner for information, a government spokesperson, or comes out to speak to the press or releases a statement to make such announcements and confirmation. But as I speak to you, nobody who is authorized to speak has confirmed that to me. I've also not come across any official statements to that regard to say so and so number of persons have been relieved of their duties. So that's the situation. As at last night, just before I went to bed, I also put the same question to someone who should know, but I haven't gotten a reply. So that just so I would say for now so we can say for now as journalists that it remains rumors, but as they will say, no smoke without fire. In terms of who is in terms of the negotiation efforts, they are being brokered by a group of stakeholders in Rivers State, a group of elder statesmen and other stakeholders in Rivers State who are trying to broker peace and reliably informed. So we do not know the details of the discussions that have gone on at that level. But what we know that discussions are ongoing. I guess maybe in the
Uche, are you still there? Unfortunately, a network challenge there with regards to this matter at hand, but definitely Uche Okoro will come back to bring us more updates with regards to the ongoing conversations on the ground. But let's get back to the lawyer, Eugene Ode. Eugene, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Welcome back.
Right. Okay, so we hear from our correspondents that there are ongoing conversations to resolve these matters somewhat amicably. We hear elder statesmen have waded into the matter, and although we do not know what the details of the conversations being had are, but then again, let's look at this matter. There are those who have said perhaps the governor should look at a political solution to addressing this matter. There's been accusing fingers pointed at the former governor of the state, Nyesom Wike, who is now the minister of the FCT, as being behind some of these issues. But one too many accusations. How do you see these conversations going on, so to speak, going to address this matter? Or would you say the governor should perhaps toe the path of going to the courts to address this issue head on?
Well, one thing that the governor said yesterday that for me I think is very profound, and that statement is should at least let his followers and the followers of those opposing his government let it really sit properly well. He said he's a peace-loving person and that he has no problems with impeachment. The only problem is that the process must follow the due process of law. That's all, and he wants to only know why he's been impeached. And that doesn't sound like a man who wants to fight. Provided that the things go the way they should go, he accepts his fate. And I think what is important now is peace and stability in the state. We don't want to see ourselves sliding back into what happened in 2014 when former Governor Rotimi Amaechi shut down the judiciary because of this same scenario where we find ourselves now, threats of impeachment here and there. If the governor is minded to allow peace and he's pursuing peace, that is what we want to see, so that it doesn't escalate into bloodbath and escalate into something that will, at the end of the day, cause a breakdown of law and order in the state. So, and I'm also happy to hear that elder statesmen have waded into the matter. Of course, it's not going to be a simple solution, as it were. The solution is going to be multifaceted. It's going to involve all stakeholders. It's going to involve, I'm sure that even the former governor himself, Nyesom Wike, would also be concerned as to what is going on. He hasn't said anything yet, so the allegations that he's behind it is neither here nor there until he comes out to either say yes, I'm behind it. Of course, he's a very vocal person. If he's behind it, in no distant time we will hear. Remember what happened in Ebonyi State. He came out very openly and said, yes, he supported, in fact, financed what happened in Ebonyi State. So we know that Wike is a very outspoken person. He's not a coward when it has to do with taking responsibility. So if he is behind it, we will know in the coming days. But if he's not behind it, nobody should speak for him, as it were, as at today. But what is important is that the way the problems are emerging and there's an attempt for solution, that is what we should be more interested in. And like I said, those solutions will go beyond political, may likely go beyond political solutions. They might go for judicial solutions at the end of the day, or both, or all of the above. I've also heard that, like you heard, that some members of the, or should I say the entire Executive Council has been dissolved, and the 23 local government councils have been, chairmen have been sacked, and that the CJ has also been sacked. Well, we haven't had any official broadcast from the governor. By law, the Constitution says, before, like Section 292 of the Constitution is very clear as to how the Chief Judge of a state will be removed. Of course, it has to be by an address to not less than 2/3 of the members of the House of Assembly, and then also subject to ratification by the National Judicial Council. So, of course, the NJC has a role to play in the removal of the CJ. I don't know if they've been brought in, but you know, the game of survival in politics, most times laws are breached. When survival kicks in, people deliberately want to breach the law, and at the end of the day, see how they'll be able to navigate their way out of the crisis. I just hope that it doesn't get to the point where the sitting governor becomes desperate to the extent where he begins to deliberately disregard and breach extant provisions of the Constitution. But whatever it is, the man enjoys Section 308. He is covered by immunity. He's still the chief executive officer. He's still the chief security officer. He still has the security apparatus under his control. So much power to wield at the end of the day. We just hope that the power that he has doesn't push him to begin to do things that will adversely affect and hurt the people of the state and the economy of the state. He started very, very well with his consolidation policy trust, and also to reach out to youths and to his job creation policy. He had already started warming himself to the hearts of Rivers indigents and residents in Rivers State. You know, so let him not, as a result of what is happening now, spoil what he has already started. Let him stick to the law. The law will always come through for him. Let him ensure that he doesn't allow himself to be swallowed up by emotion. This will be my counsel to the governor. And I also hope that the elder statesmen who have waded into this matter will find a very quick solution to this crisis. Rivers State has suffered so much politically, and it's time for the state to heal so that the needed development can come into the state.
That's right. There have been lots of issues, going on in Rivers State, before Nyesom Wike left as governor. But then I actually want to speak to what you said a little earlier as regards the incumbent governor Fubara, Siminalari Fubara, being the chief security officer of the state. But yesterday, he raised the alarm that the security personnel on the ground at the National Assembly fired gunshots at him, that they wanted to kill him. And that's the question to ask. If we have the governor, and then we have the security apparatus, and then we have the House, the State Assembly, the people are at the center of all of this. How much power would you say he wields in order to show that he is in charge of the state as a chief security officer?
Now, the power he wields as a chief security officer of the state goes beyond the Nigerian police. He is the chairman of the Security Council of the state, and he has the right by law to constitute it or reconstitute it as he deems fit. Okay? So whatever happened yesterday, I think the Commissioner of Police may have one or two explanations to give. I don't think it was deliberate. I'm not speaking for them. But whatever it is, I'm very sure that the Commissioner of Police, whose duty it is to ensure protection of lives and properties in Rivers State, and of course in conjunction with the DSS, the SSS, whose duty it is primarily is to secure the governor of the state from every every attack on his person as an individual. So, well, those allegations, I'm very sure, will be investigated, and if there's merit in it, I believe the security authorities will have to address it squarely. It is quite unbecoming, and it is indiscipline, act of gross misconduct and indiscipline for anybody to want to directly, deliberately attack a sitting governor of a state. It is not about Sim Fubara, it's about the integrity of Rivers State. Anything that happens to the governor of the state is an insult and an affront to the government of Rivers State, as it were. So the life of our governor is very important and very crucial to us, not about the person who is occupying it, but about the office of the governor. You know, it will be very unbecoming to allow anybody in the guise of being a security operative to desecrate that office. It will be a slap on the state. And I think it's an allegation that the authorities must take very seriously. And if it is true, those officers who were involved must be brought to book and called to order, if need be.
All right, let's get back to our senior correspondent, Uche Okoro, who is back on the line now to talk more about the State Assembly. Yesterday, you told us, Uche, that this members of the State Assembly actually met. I wonder what is going on now today, if you were able to assess, get access into that space, if they are also still meeting today. We now have a divided house with regards to the State Assembly. It's seeming like we're having two speakers. What really is going on with regards to that? Because the governor was saying that he is the one that is supposed to give these people a new space for them to sit and meet. Do they have a new space now?
As I speak to you, access is still denied to the Rivers State House of Assembly complex. There isn't any activity going on there, perhaps save for the presence of security personnel who are there to maybe maintain peace and prevent breaking into that venue. So apart from that, there isn't much going on at that venue. Yesterday, after the whole impeachment drama took place at the auditorium of the Rivers State House of Assembly complex, the legislators and some of us journalists and others who were present inside the assembly complex had to make a very quick exit, because just as we all made our way out of the auditorium, we could overhear the large cries and shouts of the protesters who were attempting to invade the House of Assembly complex. So everyone left there in such a huge hurry. So
Uche.
Go on there for the time being.
All right, Uche, still sticking with you. I don't know if the police has opened investigation into the matter of the arsonists, those who set that the State Assembly complex ablaze. Are you hearing anything with regards to that?
The police have simply said that they are aware of what's going on. The police have simply said they are on top of the situation. That in responding to the crisis that happened yesterday, they have said that everything is under control. Normalcy has been restored, and their men are fully on ground. There is heavy presence of their personnel to forestall further breakdown of law and order. And on the other hand, the police has also said that a thorough investigation has been launched into the incident. That's what the police is saying from the Rivers Police Command headquarters, that a thorough investigation has been launched into this incident to ascertain the identities of those who were responsible for that attack, the burning down of the chambers of the assembly complex. They have said they would continue to follow all clues, and that anyone found culpable, anyone who is found with questions to answer, will not be spared, will face the full wrath of the law. That's the information coming from the Rivers State Police Command headquarters. But as I speak to you, no arrests have been made. If any, certainly we're not aware. That hasn't been made public yet.
Right. Let me go to our guest who has been speaking with us. Now that we have two divided houses, we've got one faction and another faction. We don't know who bears the mace now. And I remember that back in the day, there was this argument about what how the legality of whatever they do in the absence of maize, whether it is legal or not. Could you speak to this? Whoever is the maize bearer and whoever tries to take a decision without the maize, will that stand?
Yes, there was a miss there. No?
First and foremost, the maize, the presence of the maize is just symbolic. It really has no legal effect. I've looked for the Constitution, the role of maize in giving validity to the plenary. I couldn't find any. Those things are ceremonial. They have no real definite legal effect. What the Constitution requires is that the House is constituted and that a simple majority will form a quorum. Of course, the issue of quorum has also been thrown open to different interpretations. Whether quorum must be all the members who were voted into the House of Assembly present and voting at the same time, or 1/3 of all of them, or 2/3 of all of them meeting at the same time, or that's 2/3 majority. That computation is based on those who are present at that particular point in time. Even if there are 100 and then 10 of them meet, the quorum will be computed based on those 10 people who are present at that particular point in time. These are different schools of thought in determining what quorum is. And that's why, like we are hearing today now, that we have a split, a different House of Assembly from the one that sat yesterday, with a new speaker, the two speakers laying claim to the same State House of Assembly. The question now is that which one is authentic? Now, the venue of where they meet doesn't also have legal and constitutional definition. It suffices that these people are members of the House of Assembly. Therefore, the venue where they meet to carry out plenary or carry out activity, their constitutional activities, is not material, is not important. They can meet under the tree, they can meet in a motor park, they can meet in a hotel, they can meet in any venue, and whatever decisions they take is binding on the people. And that's the beauty of our constitutional democracy. You see the importance of parliament in this presidential system that we operate in Nigeria. So wherever they meet is of no moment. What is important is that the decisions they take is what is important. The outcome of what they decide and resolve and pass into law, or resolve by way of maybe motion and resolutions passed, those things are binding on the state, as it were. So for now, I don't think that venue where they meet is important. I also don't think that every member of the House of Assembly must be present before decisions are taken, binding the state. The question now is that now that we have two conflicting houses making,
well done.
Yeah, making two resolutions, we don't know which one to take. And like I said, these things are things that eventually may end up in courts for judicial resolution at the end of the day.
Right. All right. Let's look at the implication of what has transpired in Rivers State. There's been one too many crises that Rivers State has witnessed. And there are those who have said that Rivers State cannot afford this at this time because this is coming too early in the government of Siminalari Fubara, so to speak, where we are a situation where we are seeing taxpayers' money being burnt down. As talking about the State House of Assembly, it shows the extent people can go with regards to pushing certain narrative when it comes to interest as it is. But talk to us about the implication of this. Democracy is about the people. But when we see people go this far just to perhaps push an interest, what are its implications, especially for the people who may not be similarly seeing the benefit of getting the dividends of democracy as it is right now with all of the happenings that we're seeing going on in Rivers State?
The essence of governance mainly is to provide governance and to make sure that you create a greater good for the greater majority of the citizens. So the essence of government and governance is actually for the people and not for the individual. Every citizen of Rivers State is not a politician. the class of people in politics are very negligible number in terms of population. And yeah, these are the people who take the decisions that are binding on the vast majority of Rivers citizens. So their actions and inactions are very, very critical, you know, and directly affects the lives of human beings living within this state. And that's why when they take these decisions, they must always remember that it's not about them, but about the people who have entrusted them with the mandate to take care of their needs. There are health issues in the state, there's unemployment, there are security issues, there's a whole lot on the table that this governor had to deal with as he came into power. And I don't think he has had enough time to even look at those things, to analyze them, and then formulate a strong policy direction. Up until last week, he was still setting up his executive council. That has not even been done. And of course, the election, the local government election was also beckoning. It was around the horizon. A lot of things were to be done for him to sit properly, to begin to address the yearnings, aspirations, and desires of the people of Rivers State. Of course, this state has lost a lot of time, lost a lot of grounds because of political crisis, which this state has become known for over the period. You know, so for me, I think all the actors in this saga should sit back and ask themselves some questions. Whose interests are we serving? Is it our own interests or interests of the state? This state is actually supposed to be one of the richest states in Nigeria because of the many resources beyond oil that we can find in the states. We have arable land, we have water, we have sunlight, we have a lot of things that this state can actually contribute to our national GDP. But because of some of these things happening, instability in government within the state, we find ourselves where we are today. Lagos has gone far, far, far ahead of us, you know, and it's not supposed to be. We started together and we're doing very fine. At some point, it was like we're ahead of Lagos, but Rivers State is now lagging behind. So I think these are the things for me that are very, very important. And those who are in this should understand that it's beyond them as individuals. They should understand that this thing is about the people and the people only.
That's right. Eugene Ude, thank you so much. Let me quickly go to Uche before we call it a wrap. Uche, we could hear you speaking underneath that you're safe, where you're standing safe. Does that speak to the volatile situation in Rivers State? And what is the kind of likely case scenario that could happen, you know, in the coming days or coming periods, or what should we expect next? Quickly.
I think you mean what you expect next in terms of security situation. Well, I mentioned that yesterday the atmosphere was really tense. There were a lot of emotions were really high. Emotions were really running high for persons who were for and against what was happening. Well, so this morning, there seems to be some level of calm. Maybe word on the street has spread fast that both parties or the warring factions are trying to arrive at a political solution that would bring an end to all of what is happening. But before this time, there's been some reports of, in the last few weeks, there's been a lot of incidents of car theft and missing persons, kidnappings, and so on. There's been a lot of all those reports in the last few weeks. But there are a lot of concerns that with the distraction of this political crisis that is ongoing, that began yesterday, the security situation in the state is likely to get much worse, because this is with the political leaders distracted by what's going on, the police distracted by what's going on, other security agencies distracted by what's going on. This is going to give some level of confidence to the criminal elements to get back on the streets and begin to pose more threats to lives and property. So there is a concern, yes, that what's going on politically is going to cause security situation in the state to deteriorate.
All right, Uche, we'll definitely keep tabs with you for developments out of Rivers State. And we must also thank Eugene Ode, a lawyer from Port Harcourt, for your time on the program as well. Gentlemen, thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you very much.